We're joined by Josh Enomoto. He's a contributor for TipRanks and Fintel, joining us now live from San Diego. And Josh, I thought that we were supposed to de-escalate the situation between Disney and Florida, but then hearing these latest comments from Iger, calling basically Florida not very Florida and not very business friendly. I mean, that's only going to anger the governor. Why? What's behind the strategy here?
Confusing on the end of what the Republicans and what Governor Desantis wants to accomplish. I understand why Bob Iger had to say what he had to say, because in America, this is how democracy works. You may have differing opinions, but at the end of the day, you have a First Amendment right to free speech. You have a company, an individual or company can express their views how they see fit, and to use public office to somehow sway or penalize that free speech, I'm very confused as to why Governor Desantis wants to continue pressing this. I think a CNBC report earlier today mentioned that DeSantis said that we haven't seen anything yet. So it looks like this is going to be even more vitriolic.
Yeah, and this is, look, I'm a fan of Disney. I'm a fan of sort of civilized, peaceful government, and this is obviously great entertainment for all of us, but there are some very real consequences, because Disney is I'm sure one of the top, if not top, employers down there in Florida. And there are a lot of lives at stake, let alone the tourists that come to visit every year. You know, my question is this, if they don't de-escalate this, there's going to be some long-term damage to probably both sides that are going to be irreparable. And there lies, I guess, the question, the billion-dollar question, is that once it becomes irreparable, we're talking about potential damage to the brand, damage to the future of tourism potentially in Florida as well. And I don't think the majority of us watching this want that to happen.
No, we don't want it to happen, but there are certain things that are sacrosanct, and I'm afraid. I mean, I understand that many people feel strongly about the parental rights and education bill, and that I understand that there are certain controversies associated with teaching young children certain topics that really should be left to the parents. I totally understand the sentiment that Governor DeSantis has demonstrated, but I also understand that, I mean, this is sacrosanct, that Disney does have a right to express their ideological and political beliefs, and freedom of speech. I mean, that is the bedrock of American democracy.
No, look, I'm the last person to question that. They have every right to say what they want. I'm just thinking he's got a giant business to run. Arguably, there's like 5 giant businesses within the giant business. And, you got the streaming business, you got the layoffs coming, you've got Disney over in China, and in Shanghai and Hong Kong. There's a lot going on with Disney. It just seems to me that this potentially is just an unfortunate distraction to being focused on the business. Let's talk very quickly from a shareholder's perspective. What is going to be the key challenge for this company once they get past these 7,000 or so layoffs?
Well, it looks like the 7,000 job cuts, that has to be, I mean, that plays a role in how Disney will move forward, because Bob Iger has a vision of consolidating the business and focusing specifically on the content and the services and the products that actually work, that actually resonate with the consumers. But to initiate that strategy, of course, is going to be very expensive. So the job cuts, unfortunately, have to be part of that strategic framework.
There is some talk that Iger might decide to double down on the streaming services. I mean, it's number one in many different categories, right? You have the ESPN, you have the Disney, and they're both doing apparently very well. But the problem is it's not making the type of margins, or I guess profit, or even revenue that they were initially expecting. And so there was some talk they'd either double down on it and have to grow it more, or potentially spin it off.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's a very difficult process. One possible a positive catalyst here is the tremendous popularity of the World Baseball Classic that just finished up, and so many people watched it, and it broke all kinds of records, of viewership and attendance records. So ESPN may have an opportunity to perhaps gain some momentum from that. But there's no question it probably has to do a combination of reducing some of the bundled packages, as well as maybe again increasing the cost of the Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah, a lot of different cross currents of storylines under Disney right now, both politics and also corporate, I guess, mixing together. That's the world we live in, Josh. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you.
All right.